When the Lich King's control of his Death Knights was broken, his former champions sought revenge for the horrors committed under his command. After their vengeance was won, the Death Knights found themselves without a cause and without a home. One by one, they trickled into the land of the living in search of a new purpose. 1,000 atrocities are etched in the eyes of every Death Knight, and foes who gaze into them will feel the warmth pulled from their bodies, replaced with cold steel. Frost sharpens their strikes, blood fortifies their bodies, and undeath allows them to erupt in unholy rage in the heat of battle. The Death Knight is a relentless combatant that makes for a deadly foe or inimitable ally. A Death Knight can specialize in one of 3 dark paths: blood, frost, and unholy. A Blood Death Knight is a guardian who manipulates and corrupts life energy to sustain himself in the face of an enemy onslaught. Here are some of the core abilities of a Blood Death Knight. Death Strike. Death Strike focuses dark energy into a damaging strike that heals the Death Knight for a % of the damage dealt. Death Strike uses a significant amount of the Death Knight's runic power, so it must be timed precisely to be most effective. A few of the Blood Death Knight's defensive abilities are Rune Tap and Vampiric Blood. Rune Tap is an ability that is available on a 30-second cooldown. Rune Tap will heal the Death Knight for a small percentage of his maximum health. Due to the cooldown period of this ability, it must be timed precisely to be most effective and available when the Death Knight needs it most. Vampiric Blood temporarily grants the Death Knight a significant health bonus for a short period of time. Vampiric Blood also increases the amount of healing the Death Knight receives from his own abilities or those of an ally. One of the Blood Death Knight's utility abilities is Dancing Rune Weapon. Dancing Rune Weapon summons an animated rune weapon that fights on its own for a short period of time. The Dancing Rune Weapon will mirror the Death Knight's attacks and abilities. In addition to copying its summoner's attacks, the Dancing Rune Weapon grants its master a bonus to parry incoming attacks from enemies. A Frost Death Knight is an icy harbinger of doom. They channel runic power and deliver vicious weapon strikes, chilling their enemies to the bone. A Frost Death Knight's most basic attack is Frost Strike. Frost Strike quickly attacks the Death Knight's target using his dark runic power, dealing piercing frost damage. Obliterate is a brutal attack used by the Frost Death Knight. In addition to dealing massive weapon damage to its target, Obliterate causes even more damage to a target affected by the Death Knight's diseases. Obliterate uses a significant amount of the Death Knight's resources, so it must be timed precisely to be most effective. Howling Blast is the Frost Death Knight's main area of effect spell. Affecting multiple enemies within range of the target, this spell blasts enemies with bone-chilling frigid wind, dealing a significant amount of frost damage to its targets and infecting them with frost fever. One of the Frost Death Knight's utility abilities is Pillar of Frost. Pillar of Frost calls upon the power of frost to increase the Death Knight's strength. Icy crystals hang heavy upon the Death Knight's body and also provides immunity against being knocked backwards. An Unholy Death Knight is a master of death and decay. They spread infection and control undead minions to do his bidding. Here are some of the core abilities of an Unholy Death Knight. Scourge Strike is the Unholy Death Knight's most basic attack. It is an unholy strike that deals a significant amount of weapon damage to its target, and additional damage to a target infected by the Death Knight's diseases. Festering Strike is an instant attack, dealing high weapon damage to its target. Festering Strike acts as both a damaging attack and a utility effect. Each strike from this vicious blow increases the amount of time its target is affected by the Death Knight's diseases. The Unholy Death Knight has 2 main utility abilities that strengthens its undead minions significantly: Shadow Infusion and Dark Transformation. Shadow Infusion is a passive ability that causes your Death Coil attack to empower the Death Knight's undead minion. Shadow Infusion increases the damage done by the undead minion, stacking up to 5 times. When Shadow Infusion has stacked 5 times, the Death Knight can invoke Dark Transformation. This consumes the 5 stacks of Shadow Infusion and transforms the ghoul into a powerful undead monstrosity for a short period of time. All of the ghoul's abilities are empowered during this time and take on new functions while the transformation is active. Death Knights are deadly foes and fearsome allies. These unholy knights can efficiently help carve a path to victory for any group of adventurers brave enough to befriend them.